Good afternoon. It is 2:28 p.m. It is Tuesday afternoon and it is March 10th and I am here with another video. And this video I am making and I'm referencing this video to two specific individuals that I like to reach out to, and that would be Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because I do recall seeing a video of Ringo Starr, I would say maybe a few days ago. He was wearing like a purple type shirt with a ruffle in front of it. And I just want to say, hey, you're looking good. Also, earlier when I first woke up today, Ringo Starr's face was like circulating in my face, in my third eye. And then I also flipped over to Paul McCartney, right? So, first of all, I want to say now, I think you guys have been following the trajectory of this nightmare hellhole drama that's been going on relating to religion, and I do understand that you guys are indirectly involved, and I'll tell you how. This is through Christian networks, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. This is all beyond your control, really. But what this references is this connection with the CIA, the Masons, the Christian celebrity politician connection. Because there's so much to say about this, and yes, a lot of people are shocked, okay, and a lot of people are stunned about this issue. Now, apparently, from what I understand, that how all this ties in is I know that I've been subscribing to Pandora probably since 2009 or something, maybe even earlier than that. I was somebody recommended Pandora to me because I love listening to music, so they're like, "Have you heard of Pandora?" Now back then when Pandora first started out, it was kind of like a big deal. Now it kind of blends in the background only because so many people have heard it for such a while. But yeah, I listen to Pandora. And so, of course, I selected channels that are not necessarily black channels. I listen to all kinds of music. I grew up listening to the Beatles. We talked about the Beatles like almost daily, weekly, whatever. Okay. I mean, the way they talked about Paul McCartney, you would have thought that he lived next door or something. So I am used to these two individuals. Okay. And that's unfortunately, you guys got sucked up into this because this is a nightmare, okay? And I do know that the church played a huge role in it. But see, this is where I'm coming to understand where the connection was. Okay, I know that I'm one of these clone babies too, okay? And my relatives, with the kids of 533, as well as the Collins clan, they are a part of the beast system. And when I'm talking about the beast system, I'm talking about Christianity, okay? And like I said, I have nothing against the idea of Jesus, a savior, somebody who heals people, whether that be emotionally or whatever, because that's what Jesus did. But I do have an issue with Christianity and how it is practiced. It has become so power hungry and so distorted, and it, of course, has merged forces with organizations that, value things like eugenics, experimentation, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and I do believe that this is the reason why they started doing this is because I believe that cloning is nothing really new. Okay, based on what I understand in the Bible, they talked about things like eunuchs in the Bible, many times. Okay, so these could very well be organizations that existed during the time of Jesus, just forwarding themselves into the modern day. Okay, but anyway, going back into my connection with the Beatles, right? And why I'm thinking about them is because I understand that things got really out of control in this issue. And what happened was, what I think happened in order, okay, that everybody knows that I'm a fan of the Beatles. Everybody knows I like a certain kind of music. And maybe Christian organizations may have reached out to these particular individuals. This includes Justin Hayward, so on and so forth, okay? And I do believe that the kids that I grew up with, the kids who were bullying me, as well as my rotten family, were basically kind of bullying me and making it known to you guys that, I dropped out of high school when I was a teenager. Now, why did they do this? Okay, I personally think it's because we are of the same soul tribe. What I mean by soul tribe is that we were burden babies, possibly. We could, hang on. Hello, how can I help you? Oh, right now I'm busy. Have a good day. Bye bye. Okay, sweet girl. She's just trying to make a living. Okay, but anyway, I don't have time to answer the door. Anyway, so we were both we're all clones. I think I believe that we are, and I know that's a very personal thing. Okay, because we'd like to believe that I wanted to believe that my parents had this like passionate love for each other, and they couldn't keep their hands off each other, and they created me out of love. But unfortunately, that is not the story. Okay. And when I found out the real story, you best believe my head was spinning around, and it still is spinning around. Okay. And so, what I do believe is that, these particular Christian organizations were kind of like spoofing me because, some people are really ignorant. Okay. I personally feel as though the Beatles music is timeless. To me, it's something that I know a lot of black artists who covered Beatles music, and I really just don't think, I think it's childish. Okay. I really do think it's childish. But anyway, they wanted to pour out my flaws to some of the people that I admired. So of course they wanted to make it seem as though I was some, you know, like I don't know, a juvenile delinquent who left school and I was a bad person. And I think maybe if you've been watching my videos, which I get this intuitive feeling that you have, you understand that there was a story behind that. I was bullied by these same monsters, okay? And they did so gladly, okay? Because these people were serving the beast like you just do not even know, okay? So, what I mean by that is a lot of these people were brainwashed. Okay, these people were extremely brainwashed, and they never really asked me why I left school. I do believe I did a video about it. I was bullied in school by these same individuals. Okay, same people, and it's important for people to understand how bullying, that occurs in childhood could actually escalate into bullying in the adult world too, especially if there's an organization that is promoting it. This is bloodline targeting, right? Okay, so anyway, this particular Christian organization, which I do believe that you guys were a part of, and it's because of us being these clone type people. Now, what crossed my mind is that I know that people didn't want me to associate with you, and the reason why is because I was supposed to be this icky, yucky, disgusting person who left school early, and shame on me. I'm a bad person. I'm not worth talking to. Blah 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 blah. Okay, there was a lot of jealousy that went on, and honestly, I feel as though the issue of just because I had problems in school is no reason to ostracize a person, mistreat them, or whatever. A lot of it has to do with maybe the reason why they were emphasizing this issue relating to my education is possibly because people were sizing me up for potential marriage partners or whatever the case is. I feel angry and abused because I had no say in the matter. It's like almost like people advertising me and me not even knowing it. It's like it's so dehumanizing. I can't even tell you, okay? But a thought came over to my mind about you, Paul McCartney. Now, this is no offense or anything like that, because I adore Paul McCartney, I adore Ringo Starr, I love the Beatles, I always will, okay? But a few years ago, I would say this is maybe more than 10 years ago, I remember watching a video. It was a documentary about something tragic about the Paul McCartney. I think a lot of people have heard about this story. Okay, the Paul McCartney, the replacement of Paul McCartney with this particular person, Billy Shears or whatever. Supposedly, the real Paul McCartney was supposed to have died in 1966, right? And they said that there was. Now, I am not saying that if this story is true or not. Okay, I'm not going to say that. Nor am I going to do any readings to find out if it's true. Okay, but my point is, if that story was true, if there's any validity to that story, okay, then I would say that would not be an impossible thing to do. Because if something happened to the real Paul McCartney, right, and all they would have to do is go into a data bank, or maybe the LDS church could have said, "Hey, we have another spawn. Maybe there was, if that was the case, okay, they would know how to find those people." Okay. And so I was thinking about that, and I kept thinking, nothing in this industry shocks me. Nothing in this industry, makes me, surprises me or shocks me at all. And so when I understand how, we have these churches that kept records of people, and I understand how we've had, certain scientists such as Joseph Mengele, experiment with other people, I would say, cloning in itself takes some sort of skill to do that. So when I think about people in groups of doing that, they're going to be they're going to keep track of that. They're going to keep records of that. And if they created spawns or lookalikes, doubles, whatever, then they know how to get in touch with them. So if that story is true, then this would make sense, right? And whether it's true or not, I look at you as somebody who is just a great musician. I enjoy seeing you on stage. It doesn't matter whether you are or not, okay? But the point is that when we look at these sort of stories, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Okay. So anyway, the other message I'm getting right now is that so I was demonized because, but they didn't tell you that I left school because I was bullied. Okay. And just like this weird stuff that's going on now, I've always been bullied because I was pretty much the smartest kid in the school. I've always been the smartest kid in the school. Okay, and they don't remember me that way. They remember me as somebody who was just kind of like scared or just kind of like nervous all the time. I did goof off a lot. I mean, I was always really I laughed a lot and stuff like that. But most people remember me as somebody who just wasn't in school, and the reason why I wasn't in school is because of the bullying. Okay, so anyway, the other message. Oh, also this issue about people being silenced because they do not have what you call the ideal education. I will tell you that that is the most stupid thing that anybody could ever do or try to limit a person. Okay, I know of a very important writer that has impacted history and made a difference in the lives of many people who never stepped foot in college, and that would be Anne Frank. Okay, Anne Frank was 12 years old when she ended up dying, and you know what? She left her diary. If people were going to nitpick and be like, "Ah, well, you know, she's just not an educated person," then we would have never been given that gift. You know what I mean? And she had a story to tell, and regardless of that. So I think what that was, this was just outright college snobbery, which seems to run rampant in a lot of people. And I've noticed that college arrogance seems to be very prevalent in people who truly are not educated. Okay. So anyway, I want to say hello to Ringo as well as Paul McCartney. And that I care about you both. And I hope that you guys are all well and doing wonderfully. And I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye bye.